Hello and welcome to Youth in Sports, where every Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. we feature special guests from near and far. The program is sponsored by ATI Physical Therapy, providing certified athletic trainers to more than 30 area high schools and colleges. First State Orthopedics, the team taking care of Delaware with a commitment to excellence. And Wilmington University, where Youth in Sports is produced by the College of Technology's students and faculty. And now, from the studio at President Jack Barcelona's Wilmington University, your hosts for Youth in Sports, AOSSM Mr. Sports Medicine 2012, Dr. Michael Axe, UD and St. Elizabeth's own Dr. Joseph Strait, and co-founder of Youth in Sports, Mr. Walter Laudine.
Good evening, welcome to Youth in Sports at beautiful Wilmington University. I'm Walter Laudine.
I'm Joseph Strait.
And Dr. Michael Axe. And today's guests are from Newcastle County Votech School District, the superintendent of the school district, Vicki Garrett, and her colleague, Kathy Demarest. Welcome, guests.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
One of the things that I said to you in the green room, which is not green, that we love the Votech schools. We think it's a great program. And I remember growing up as a kid, right next to our junior high school was the Votech, and I thought, oh, that's, And now, as a grown-up and as a parent, I find that I like them, and I think they make more sense than anything that we have. And would you explain what a Votech school is, that some people aren't quite sure what they are?
Well, Votech schools are now really called career and technical schools. And because they no longer are focusing on a lot of the programs from the past, because when you look at where we are now with the 21st century, we're really offering training programs that are relevant to what the industry is going to need today, and hopefully what we can project out for the next at least 5 to 10 years.
Which makes sense, because you'll see people that have gotten into programs that are now gone and
Yes.
wasted all this money.
Yes.
And now that's why the Votech program will say that we're not offering this anymore.
Well, interesting you said that, because at one time, way back when at Howard High School, when it first opened in 1927, they actually have a program for shoe repair.
They need to bring it back.
And they had a lot of tanning and leathering and other things going on at the time.
I was serious. I wasn't kidding.
But then we also had a program at one time in the district that was appliance repair. So a lot of things
Nowadays
are
you throw them
changing.
away, right?
Exactly. So things are changing and evolving, and that's what has to happen with our programs, and that's what we attempt to do, where we really look at our programs. Are they relevant to what the needs are currently, as well as much as we can project out? I mean, no one can read the future for 20 years from now. Things are changing too rapidly globally.
One of the things I did ask you before is, and I was interested in, is what of the Votech programs, the vocations, is the most popular?
Well, what we're finding, and Kathy can attest to this, we have students who come into our high schools, go through an exploratory program.
Which I think is great.
And all of the schools have a little variation to what they do for their exploratory program, but the students have an opportunity to go into the career programs that they're most interested in. Some of the programs actually our schools have the students go through every program. But the one that tends to have the largest number of students that want to go into the program is our biotech program at St. George's. It's a very popular program. Students just really enjoy, learn a lot, and really the biotech industry, I think part of the hope was that it would take off in Delaware, and it has not quite taken off in Delaware at this point yet.
To a dummy, explain the biotech program.
Wow, Kathy, can you help me out with this?
If I wanted to go into the biotech program, what am I looking forward to doing later?
You'll be wearing a lab coat, and generally speaking, and you're going to be on probably doing research and development.
Would I be a pharmacist?
You could pursue that career pathway. You
With
absolutely,
more education?
You absolutely could pursue that career pathway. Pharmacology.
Yes.
You could work for a pharmaceutical company doing research.
You'd be more likely working for AstraZeneca.
Yes.
At their base level, setting up their experiments and so forth, maybe not actually conducting them, making sure the equipment worked properly, making sure that that all the equipment was cleaned and ready to go, that they had actually put the ingredients in as they much were supposed to. So you have the pharmacist or the PhD kineticist doing the actual experiment, but you are the underpinnings. You do
Oh, okay.
everything.
And you would use the allied health program to go the other way, to be a pharmacist in a Walgreens or...
You could. I mean, the health careers can lead in many different directions, and even with the biotech, you have students who go into the biotech program that may even want to consider the medical field.
Well, if I
But no
went
matter
into-
what, the
Lots of
students are looking at post-secondary, whether it's an associated, a degree that is a 2-year or a 4-year, you're looking at additional schooling, which is really quite necessary these days for a lot of professionals.
Well, that was the question Walter asked
Yeah,
earlier.
where would I go after I completed the biotech program, say for 4 years at one of the Votech schools? What school would I go to, and what would I usually, if I wanted to continue my education, what would I do it in?
You could definitely go to Del Tech.
Okay.
Because they also can carry through with the biotech program. A lot of students will go to a 4-year, and again,
Right.
that could be any 4-year institution, whether it's in the state of Delaware or it's any other state that a student chooses to go to or get into a school. Again, the opportunities are really quite, they have no limitations
A lot of
on what
opportunities.
students could do.
Mike, what about a doctor? Would I use that to?
The answer to that is you certainly can use it to see if you like people and if you're afraid of blood and if it's something that you can handle. It's a better way to have a clinical understanding of whether this is a direction you would like to go. And the thing that's going to determine whether you become a doctor are a couple fold. One, how do you do on tests? And that's going to be a critical factor. The tests in particular are organic chemistry and physics.
Sure.
You're going to have to do well in those curriculums. And as we were talking again in the not green room, we were talking about the responsibilities of a Votech school is to have you able to be gainfully employed in some undertaking, and at the minimum work your way through school as you're going on at another level. For instance, being a phlebotomist or drawing blood from patients.
Being a what?
A phlebotomist.
What's that?
That's a person who draws the blood from you.
Oh, when I go to the,
When you go to the lab,
and they keep missing the vein, that's the
well,
one?
not the ones from our Votech.
Oh.
One time and done.
One time and done, right?
I think
That's what everybody wants,
thing that
right.
you're pointing out, I think the thought out there is that many of these children that are and young adults that are in Votech are not going to further education, but we're finding that a lot of it is. I mean, there's a lot of associates and in 4 years and after coming out of Votech.
Yeah, our statistics are showing that approximately, I would say give or take 60% of students are going on in either to a 2-year or 4-year.
I like that
college.
statistic,
That's
but
excellent.
Joe made a great point when he said last week when we had the Votech champion wrestlers on,
St. George.
St. George, well, Votech, right? That 3 of them said, well, we're not going to college. And Joe corrected him and said, well, wait a minute, you're getting an apprenticeship. That's the same, almost the same thing in your profession.
And what's
Yes.
really wonderful for our students who excel in those mechanical and construction trades is often they're able to test into the 2nd year of their apprenticeship if they have done everything that they were able to achieve in our programs. So they really have a step ahead and a leg up often, and so they're prepared, to step in ahead of somebody coming off the street. So that's really a wonderful value added that we can give those
Sounds
students.
like the programs are set up excellent because of how if they co-op during their last 2 years or last year?
Last year, their senior year.
And then that co-op leads them into some of their apprenticeships.
It does.
Kind of gives them on-the-job training
Well, that's the
as
whole
they
thing.
move in.
right?
It's
They're all
excellent.
on the job training.
And we most recently, in this past year, have really intensified our dual enrollment program. So we had first semester close to 90 students between the 4 schools going to Del Tech to take a dual enrollment at college level class. We actually took the students there on a bus. And then this semester we have a little drop off. They're seniors. We have about
Second semester seniors.
second semester seniors. We have close to 60 that are actually in the dual enrollment. So we're offering students, too, a pathway where they have an opportunity to go into a college level course, and yet we have a safety net because we're there for them. We meaning, our staff at the schools, our counselors are there. If they're experiencing problems, we have a safety net, because I think you are familiar with statistics of how many students who start college and how many actually complete their college education in 4 years.
Well, one of the things we talked about, and you said it, is that one of the most popular courses now, popular vocations now, is the cooking, the culinary.
The culinary is very popular.
And when I said to you, that's a direct result of all the TV shows. Concerning that, you might think about a course in, like here, TV production.
We have that too.
You do?
Oh, yes.
It's at Howard,
We
correct?
do. It's at Del Castle.
It's a Del Castle?
Because I think that's a great course, especially the power of TV. And here we are, 21 years.
We do.
And
Have
I
that.
think that that's a big deal because, like, we've found out, especially Mike and I that have been on the longest, that all of a sudden the kids want to be CSIs. Where'd they get that from? TVs.
Right.
But the culinary
Well, we give
field-
them that opportunity because in our health careers, we have a biomedical strand that all the students have to go through. And some of the curriculum that they have to actually be taught has a little CSI in there, and the kids really,
like
really
that.
enjoy that a lot.
I think it's
which is preparing them to get into some of the health careers at their junior and senior year.
I think it's important can you guys give us a background of some of the other areas of opportunity? I mean, we've named a couple of the more
We
important.
call them the trees. You know, you
Well,
have-
we have a new and exciting program at Howard, building automation systems. That
building
again,
automation system.
yes, it's linked to HVAC, electrical. Whereas the students basically, when you think about homes and buildings in the future, are going to be really managed. They're already being managed
Right.
by a lot of folks, where you can actually turn your lights on and off with your phone. You can actually check on what's happening in the home if you have a pet, if you have video surveillance.
Teenage kids.
Your teenage, if you want to check on them. But the building automation systems is going to provide students with a very strong base in HVAC electrical. And then from that point, they're going to actually be working and having experiences in businesses where they'll have some hands-on with building automation systems.
Now, how many students will be in that program? Because that sounds like it's intense. You probably need to have a smaller teacher-student ratio.
We basically have in each grade level, 15 to 18 students at each grade level. And one career teacher in 10, 11, 12 will have a range of 15 to 18 for every grade level. And then ninth graders will come through as an exploratory. And they generally only have 2 grade levels at a time. So a teacher could have 24 to 30 students in the classroom at one time in their lab area that they're working with. So that's one of our new and emerging programs, just kicked off this year. And then certainly our computer network administration program at Howard is also a very innovative program as well.
Well, we've already finished our first segment. I told you how fast it goes. We're going to go to a break, and we'll come back right after this.
I will keep dancing on point, even if it hurts.
My arm is killing me. I don't know if I can pitch another ball. But I'll just play through the pain anyway.
I have to do the big stunts. We look better than the other cheerleaders, but our tosses are bigger.
My elbow really aches, but I've got to keep practicing.
Don't tell them it hurts. They'll take you out of the game if you do. I have to push harder if I'm going to get a scholarship. I'm feeling dizzy, but I don't want to tell anyone.
Everyone's counting on me. I can't rest now.
Nearly 50% of all sports injuries sustained by middle and high school students are from overuse. Don't play through the pain. See your healthcare provider and follow their instructions for rest and recovery. Take the pledge. Become an advocate for sports safety. Visit stopsportsinjuries.org.
Hi, we're back on Youth in Sports, and we're talking about the Votech programs in Newcastle County. And Joe, you wanted to know how many different programs you have?
Well, we have 42 programs in the entire district. Not every program is replicated in every school. Some are. For instance, auto body is at 2 of our schools, Delcastle and Hodson. You will find like the building automation system is only at Howard. So you'll see replication of some programs in all schools. Some will be in 1, some will be in 2 or 3, depending on the program. The other really important component, I think, for what we do in our career and technical schools is the opportunity for students to have a balanced schedule, a balanced day. They are having half of their day are in academics, the other half of the day they're in their programs, they're working in their labs. So they're getting the experiences that they need, the skill sets that they need in their particular career and technical program, which is a wonderful opportunity for students. It breaks up the day. And just think as adults, how many of us today, I mean, you have to think about it, how many of us today can sit in the classrooms, period by period, from 7:30 in the morning till 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Granted, we give you a break for lunch. You know, you can have a 30 or 45-minute period of time for lunch. That's a lot of time that students are really sitting, which really is not the greatest for students when you think of the body, having to sit in those chairs, the legs. There's not much movement until they're moving from class to class. So it's a great opportunity for students to get that balance in their lives, and when they're in their career and technical programs, they really have a chance. They're moving around, they're working in collaborative groups with their peers, they're learning skills that they're going to need, and how ideal for a parent who wants their child to go on to college, whether it's, again, whatever post-secondary experience it could be. But they have a skill set. They could be working in that particular area either during the year, only summers, and they're supporting themselves as well as they go through school.
Yeah, we had talked about it earlier about the need for going to college and the parents' dream, particularly if they hadn't gone to college, to give that opportunity for their son or daughter to pursue that, to go on to what they envision a better life. Well, if you've ever seen the success of plumbers and heating and air conditioning people, and they do quite nicely if you're looking at the bottom line as a measure of success. And most of the folks that have been in that environment have taken an associate's degree. You've done a great job of coordinating that with Deltech, that many of our trades go off and actually take the courses, they take their apprenticeships, they have a lot of their other things at both the Votech schools and your night classes, as well as at Deltech.
Well, one of the things that, you know, if I was thinking about, the more I think about Deltech schools, you think about new programs and stuff that would be interesting. Do you do anything in the military field?
We have not really focused on that at all. The difficulty is this: our students are so engaged that there's so much to fit into that day. In fact, the requirement now, the state has a requirement, every high school student has to have a minimum of 2 years of a language, world language, to graduate. And by adding that, we really have to look at the schedule. How do you fit it in? We fit it in, but the students' day is packed. We have no study halls. So to bring another program like that, we've talked about it.
Well, no, I'm not saying about adding it to the curriculum. I'm talking about adding it to the curriculum and making it.
Well, that's what DNA is.
Like a Delaware Military Academy.
Exactly.
Well, that's already
Right.
here. That's
It's
the beauty.
already- yeah.
That's the beauty.
Yeah.
What the fine
Yeah.
line, and I'll paraphrase it because they really can't be politically correct. The fine line between
I'm not
offering these
politically
services,
correct.
yeah, but you don't know where I'm going with this.
You're allowed to be.
And not having people not understand what you're trying to offer, and thinking that you're drawing off their students and you're taking them into this environment and you're siphoning off the good ones, and they aren't left in their schools. And the other school districts are looking, how did we lose this part of the curriculum? And they try to gain it back. And I know that they've been trying to do a program at Dickinson and the Red Clay District and other places.
Like what?
In response to trying to have a
Votech kinda
type of curriculum involved in there, and therefore it becomes very sensitive when you're providing a service and you're the golden child, right? I think right now, if you looked at schools, you have charter school as the golden child of the academic push for the kids that are going to go on to be physicists, and then you have the Votech schools for all those people that are going to be gainfully employed in making significant contributions to our infrastructure, whether it be roads and so forth, or the equipment that runs and makes the roads, or the computerized stuff that helps us to be able to work them after they're done. Is that fair?
And our mission is that we're preparing our students for careers and or post-secondary. That's our mission. It's not and, it's not just an or, it's an and or.
Well,
that's really our mission.
You know why I'm asking that, and Mike's talking about the Delaware Military Academy, which is, fine. That's a great place. The only trouble is that, from my understanding, is they have a lot of turndowns because it's completely.
Yes.
Well, okay, all right. You want to go there? All right, here we go.
You want to go there?
I think it's important.
Well,
everybody wants the best students, right? Everybody wants the best students.
Well, it's not necessarily the best students. It's the environment that is created. And I just, let me take a detour here. I think one thing I heard the president say that I really was excited to hear him say was that we need to look at helping our high schools offer more opportunities for students to be better prepared for careers. And I was really thrilled to have him say that, because I think, yes, we do a great job in preparing our students for 42 different career programs. But I think all high schools nationwide have a responsibility to do programs for students, to prepare them for careers, and it shouldn't just be the Votechs alone. And granted, maybe they're not going to do it on our scale, because we are designed to have our students half-day academic and half-day career and technical. But I think high schools really do have a responsibility, I'm talking nationally now, to look more to what can we do to provide programs to better prepare our students for careers, as well as post-secondary.
Well,
so I was thrilled to hear him say that. Now, how that happens...
Well, if you believe him, then you know.
That's enough.
I want to ask a question because...
Yeah, I know that,
Yeah.
but I know where this was going, and that's enough.
I went to OCS, okay, and in OCS I learned all the things that I needed to stay alive in the service when I went to a war zone. The basic training in AIT that the average soldier gets today is not enough when they go to a war zone. So what I'm saying is that maybe, and I don't know what they teach in the Delaware Military Academy. I mean, I don't know if they teach map reading and
they
weapons.
Do. They have to. Well,
and the stuff that needs to be taught so that you can become viable when you're in a bad situation. That's why I said that would be a great course, officer training.
Now, here's what other districts do. Now, you have Delaware Military Academy, and I believe there's talk about another similar down in Kent or Sussex. But what schools also have are the ROTC programs, where those programs are quite successful in high schools, where it's not as intense perhaps as the Delaware Military Academy, but their students still are getting I think, great exposure to whatever military that association that the high school has selected. It could be Air Force, it could be Marines, it could be Army.
I'd like to go back
Navy.
with
Don't
your
Navy.
partnerships that you have with industry and how important they are for you to be able to offer the internships and your co-op programs, and also keeping you abreast of what they're going to need in the future in their workforce. I know that you brought me in, one of the first things that you did when you became superintendent is you brought me in as a representative of the healthcare community and asked, what do we need in First State's office that can coordinate with the programs in Votech schools? What are we going to need now, and what do we need 5 years from now?
Right.
And they're really looking, right now you have on the drawing board your classes for 5 years from now, correct?
That's what we're striving for, yes.
And what do you think is going to be that isn't here today? What do you think that's on the board that you think we'll need tomorrow? That's pretty innovative, the Howard program. That was pretty new.
I really, you're kind of catching me a little off guard on this one.
Well, that's okay. We can move to a different area.
Well, no, I really think a lot of the movement is going to be in the technology areas. I don't think it's taken off yet, but really when you look at the robotics, that the potential there, but the students to do those kind of fields need those basics, and whether it's the electronics, the electrical, they're going to need some of those basic skills, the math, the science, in order to move in that direction. So I'm really seeing more in the science and technology area, which I believe the United States needs to really embrace the whole STEM piece. Exactly.
Who are we in partnership with regards to industry at the Votech level? The Delaware Contractors Association? Who is it that we deal with as a collective group?
Wow, a lot.
The good news is that we don't have enough time in this segment because we're involved with 400 different businesses and organizations in this area. And over time as well, you know, with that many career programs and us trying to have placements for our co-op students, we are constantly in conversation with really the labor force and, you know, the employers of Newcastle County and this region. So hundreds of businesses.
How many of you think have gone out from one of your Votech schools and actually started their own business and actually give back to the schools?
Well, you know, it's interesting you said that, because our newsletter that will be coming out soon, on the very front, we're going to be seeking out our graduates. Now, when you think about how many graduates, starting with Brown moving to Delcastle in 1968, adding Hodson, Howard, now we have St. George's, that when you think of the number of graduates per year and multiply it by the number of years, we have a lot of graduates in the state of Delaware. So we are going to be seeking our graduates because we want to get to find out who they are, where they are, what they're doing, and we're even thinking of doing a gathering, not a fundraiser, but trying to get our graduates together in kind of a maybe an evening, little event of some sort.
If they're satisfied with what they learn.
It's just getting folks together, see who they are, getting them to maybe get together with some friends they haven't seen in 20 years, 30 years, 10 years. And that's one of the things we want to find out.
And we're going to go to a break and come back with segment 3 right after this.
What does opportunity mean to you? At Wilmington University, it means providing a personalized educational experience where students learn anywhere at any time. Wilmington University provides a variety of ways to complete your degree. Choose the flexibility of online learning, or attend classes during the day, in the evening, or on weekends at locations throughout the region. It's your degree. Choose how you earn it. Personalized education, affordable tuition. That's the difference at Wilmington University. What does opportunity mean to you? At Wilmington University, it means finding an innovative degree program that fits your goals and prepares you for a successful career. It means finding a school that fits your life. We know the importance of providing individual attention, affordable tuition, and unparalleled flexibility and service. Because at Wilmington University, it's not about meeting your expectations, it's about exceeding them. Personalized education, affordable tuition, that's the difference at Wilmington University.
Hi, we're back on Youth in Sports. We're talking about the Votech programs, and we've got all kinds of questions, but one of the things that's really interesting is when you told us how many different programs you had,
42.
and 40-some programs, which is amazing, and the fact that you're thinking about talking to your graduates over all these years, which I think would be a great idea as far as finding out what they thought was the strong points, what they didn't need, what they use and what they don't use, and could help you in the future.
And how many of them actually perhaps were in the area of construction and are still in the area of construction.
And what they build,
or
maybe
electronics, and are
really
still
big.
in that field in some capacity.
And many of our graduates were entrepreneurial.
Right.
So they're not just working for other people, but they started their own businesses, and they grew their businesses here. And now they're employing our students.
That's the best
in many
scenario.
cases, absolutely. And so it's good economics for the county and the state of Delaware. It really is, because it brings that skilled workforce here. It keeps the training here. Our taxpayers are paying for all of our public schools. It's a real investment in the community.
Your faculty that you have is a combination of traditional teachers and folks that were within the industry.
Yes.
So why don't you just explain to us how you select the people in the industry that want to come back, the plumbers and the carpenters and the health care providers that may have not had a formal teaching degree, but yet are your instructors in your programs. How do you select them, and how do the people, if they would want to be involved, that are out there watching and they have now have that expertise and may want to be involved, how would they do that?
Well, let's say we have a position open, let's say it's auto body, and we advertise that position. And what we're looking for is someone who actually has worked in the field of auto body. And part of the state requirement we have is someone has to have worked in that field for a minimum of 6 years. That's part of the criteria for us to be able to hire the person so we can get them certified by the state. They may not have a degree, but they have a period of time in order to get that degree. And again, that's a period of 6 years that they have, that they actually can go back. If they don't have their bachelor's, they could get their bachelor's degree. If they wish to go for a master's, they can go for their master's degree.
Do they have to have a degree to become an instructor?
No.
They don't?
They do not.
Not in the career and technical area.
Right.
Not in the career and technical.
In our academic areas,
yes.
absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
Understood.
But there's still the expectation, even that group's going to go and get a degree, right? The 6 years.
Yes.
So the
Right.
people, the plumber, is still expected to go back and get a BS.
Right.
Or an equivalent
Right.
degree.
And they
Got it.
start right away, because
Right.
they know that they've got 6 years to attain these courses, and to be smart about it, you want to get started right away.
Let me ask the second question. Because they're being employed by the district, does the district pay for them to take the courses?
Yes.
That's a good question. Yeah, that's a good thing.
So
They do get
that was loaded down.
They do get reimbursed, but there's a cap on the reimbursement. So it depends where they go.
Yeah, they
to
can't
take
go to
their
Wharton
courses.
and get reimbursed, right?
They could, but not for the entire.
Not for the entire
Right.
thing.
And they have to get
There's
a
a
minimum
cap.
grade.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, they have to pass the course. Absolutely.
yeah.
Yes, the
I thought
course
they had
has
to
to
get a
be
B. You don't have
passed.
to get a B?
I don't think that is a requirement.
Okay.
No.
I was curious.
But I find it rare that anyone would
Yeah,
get anything other than an A or a B in the
Right.
courses.
Delaware has unique opportunities for a lot of different things. One of the things that I thought was really neat, because I happen to know somebody that used the education at Dell State to get a pilot's license and fly commercial. And I said, how'd you start? We had him on the show like 10 years, 12 years ago.
Right.
He's flying for one of the big airlines now, which I found out was not the greatest job in the world.
Right.
But here he is, a pilot of a 747. So did you ever think about that? I don't know.
We do have an aviation mechanics program at Delcastle.
Mechanics program.
Yes.
Okay, not a pilot program?
No, we do not have a pilot program. We have an aviation mechanics program. And Kathy, Polytech, I believe, has an aviation. I don't think it's a mechanic.
No, it isn't. And in fact, I think it does lead to flight
Yes.
instructor.
I just wondered how
At Polytech.
successful
At Poly.
Del State's program is.
Well, Polytech is part of that area. I mean, Polytech is literally 3 miles or 4
Right, and they
miles
could
from
maybe have a
Del State.
feeder with Polytech
I bet they have
into
to.
Delaware
It's
University.
the
Del State program
And
has
the
done
air
well.
base is there. So
Yeah, or the
it
air
makes
base there, right?
sense, yes.
But the thing that's exciting is in today's world, with today's clutter, more and more people are getting their pilot's license and flying, and that seems to be something that might be a
Well, let's get back to what they don't need. They don't need more students. What's your waiting list, doctor?
that's okay.
No, I'm just saying. They don't need to offer more programs to get more people excited about going to their school, because right now It's pretty tough.
Well, we just finished our admissions process, and
What's the criteria?
our criteria, we look at a student's choice of school, their career cluster that they're interested in. We look at grades and attendance. And we just finished the admissions process, and we have letters that just went out to students that we have admitted to all 4 of the schools. And we didn't have room for everyone, unfortunately.
Like what % of the students would be turned down?
We have about...
First, how many were accepted at all the schools? How many spots did you have in the 4 schools?
Well, every year we're able to seat approximately 1,300 incoming freshmen among the 4 buildings.
Okay.
And we have, I mean, I'll just give you the flat numbers because they're in my head.
They should be right there, right now.
And by the way, we share this with all of the applicants because they need to know. We're very transparent with this. We've been running anywhere between 1,900 and 2,200 applications a year for 1,300 spots among the 4 buildings. Now, the one thing that we do know is that every year we have a number of students who are offered seats who, for some reason, decide not to accept them. So we track that information over time, and we actually are able to over-assign because we take into consideration a percentage and we are able to predict that. We're much more interested in sending letters to students that say welcome and congratulations than saying letters we're not able to accommodate you and then have to call them back 2 months later and say, well, now we have some seats. So of that group that applied this year, around 1,900, we sent out letters of acceptance to approximately 1,400 students, and 500 students we were not able to seat anywhere.
Okay, well, what's the criteria for, you've got 5,000 applications and you can only take 1,300. When does the state step in and say, hey, wait a minute, we need another school? Is there a cutoff there?
Well, at this point with the state has a strong charter school impact here, where there are a number of charter schools. And I think that
Is this a politically sensitive question?
No, well, I don't think, not for me. What I'm trying to say is that we right now have 4 schools. And
if you had a 5th, could you fill it?
we have that's a lot to maintain in the sense of numbers of students and our staff,
right?
And based on our funding and what we can do. So we're at the point that our 4 schools are all we can handle at this point in time. That if other opportunities came about where we were asked to consider, of course we'd look and consider. But a lot of charter schools are coming in and stepping in to the arena a little more frequently for high schools right now.
In other words, the charter schools are opening up quicker than the Votech schools.
I would think.
Right, and for us too, you have to understand, we have a responsibility to the community and the workforce that is here. Just because 5,000 kids want to go into culinary arts doesn't mean that responsibly we should be providing 5,000 seats to culinary arts. They won't get jobs.
It's a job.
So we really have to take a look at, the programs that we offer. I mean, the good news is we're in review with the Department of Labor. We're in review with DEDO, the Delaware Economic Office. We're projecting what are the jobs and industries that are coming here to our community, and how can we partner to stay current and ahead and always be looking forward for that. So when you say we could fill another school, we might be able to do that, but it wouldn't be responsible to do that because they wouldn't be in the areas where there are jobs available. And as a taxpayer, I know you wouldn't want to be spending that money and then these students not be able to be gainfully employed and then contributing back to our communities.
And Kathy, and good point. And the state, we can't just add a program.
Oh, I know that.
So the state, we have to request it. And one thing the state looks at are employment opportunities.
Okay, which is good. That's good.
And they have to. So we may think this is a great program, but if the jobs are not in Delaware, or even now they're expanding to regional, tri-state area, because people, we're mobile.
Right.
then they're not going to necessarily approve our request. So we have to do a lot of research when we're looking at a new program to ensure that the jobs are there.
Now this
Delaware
might
region.
be a technical question, I don't know if you can answer it, but for example, dollar per student for a regular high school as compared to a charter, as compared to a Votech, is there a big difference?
There is a difference, and I can't quote you, even though
I know it's a...
Yeah, I saw figures maybe about 3 months ago, but I can't really quote you on that. Is there a difference? Yes. In the sense of what the difference is, I couldn't tell you.
He's going to ask
off the
which is
top of
most
my head.
expensive.
Which is most expensive? The Votechs,
Okay.
because of
Because of your technology, you have to have
Right.
the
per
training.
student,
Technology
the
and
technology and the
Right.
labs.
The cost of having everything is...
I'm not. It's more per pupil. The per pupil
That's what I
expense
meant, how much per pupil.
is higher because of the career and technical. The students are spending over 120 minutes of their day in their career and technical. So you're looking at equipment that has to be up to date, you're looking at the materials that have to be supplied for the hands-on work that they have to do and the projects that they have to do. So yes, it is
All
per
right, so here's
pupil-wise higher.
now this is the good thing. What's of the kids that come in as freshmen, what's our graduation rate in our Votech schools?
Oh, we're at over 95%.
And what's the state average? About 65%.
No, it's higher than that. I have to tell you it's higher than that.
Oh, good.
Yes, it is definitely
right.
higher than that. Because again, it's just data I saw just recently, and I wish I had those figures in my head for you.
Well, I'm glad it's better.
No,
I like
it's
the
higher than
95.
that.
I like the 95, but for a long time
Yeah.
it was pushing 60. That's
No,
why
it's definitely higher than that.
great.
Yes. And I don't want to quote you where, but it is.
From
That
years
was
ago?
no, that wasn't that long ago. That was something that maybe 10-year-old data, but it wasn't data that was that
That's
far
poor.
out. That was very
Yeah,
bad.
that's poor.
No, it's much higher than that
We
now.
like that. And on that note, on that positive note, we're going to go to a break and come back really soon with our fourth segment with regards to the Votech School District.
I know they never make me play with these guys, but why do they make me train like them?
Training hard is important, and for professional athletes, it's their job. But kids aren't professionals and shouldn't train at that level. Keep kids safe on the playing field and out of the operating room. Become an advocate for sports safety. Visit StopSportsInjuries.org.
We're back on Youth in Sports. We're talking about the Votech schools, and we've got a lot of points to make that in this last segment. Joe, you wanted to talk about what?
Well, something that's near and dear to me is I do a lot of workman's compensation. We see a lot of people who are in the active workforce, I say, the industrial athlete. And my biggest question is trying to get into the Votech school system and find out what the requirement for physical education and health is, and trying to promote wellness in our workers well before they're into the workforce.
Well, we do follow the state curriculum for phys ed and for health. And I know there's a greater emphasis over the years, again, this is happening nationally, I think you know that, on the fitness and also the nutrition aspect. And that I know is emphasized a great deal, especially through health, because that's really critical. Unfortunately, the way our schedules are, we're so tight in the sense of what we have to provide for our students and the time that we have to do that, expanding the phys ed would be a little difficult. So if you have ideas on what we can do within our career and technical that our teachers perhaps could do with the students periodically, even to start off when they enter, are there some things they could do?
You know, we make fun of the Toyota people that had exercises when they first got in.
That's a Japanese thing.
Well, I understand that part, but I don't think that it's time wasted.
No, I don't
think
either.
that there are certain things that we could be a little bit more, and perhaps they're only taking gym for 2 semesters and health the other 2.
Exactly.
So this could be something.
Right.
Well,
For their
it's a little bit
entire
bigger challenge, Doctor.
But I see they're a little bit more active in. You take the Votech school system, at least they're active in their trade, so they are getting some kind of moving around activity. In other schools, other high schools where they're following the state set parameters for health and wellness and phys ed, they're not as active. And that's one of the biggest goals, and we're seeing that in our workforces and the companies going to stretching programs and health and wellness and nutrition programs in their, for their employees. I'm just wondering how we can do that and set up a plan to do that in all the schools, including the Votechs.
Well, that's a good point, Joe. In New York, they tried to have better meals, better lunches. Well, the people that put the lunches on are going broke because the kids aren't eating it. So they're not buying it. So there's got to be, with that kind of thing, there's got to be an education point. And you got to, I don't know how you force feed these kids to say, hey, look, it's better to have an apple than a Coke.
Well, our students are used to it. Our high school students, I mean, through the years, they don't have access to the sweet drinks anymore. So, in fact, when they are serving any kind of a drink, it's zero. I mean, it has absolutely no sweetener in it except artificial sweetener. But I think it's a matter of getting students used to it. And the high school students do eat, thank goodness, they do eat. Our meals are wonderful at all 4 schools. But again, when it comes to perhaps more of that physical activity, a little more frequent than the time they have to take their phys ed credit, they take their phys ed credit and they're done. It's like, for some, it's like, yay, I'm done my phys ed credit. Others are in sports, so they're extending their physical activity because they're heavily engaged in sports.
Well, congratulations to the championship Howard
Thank you.
Cats for their basketball title, first one since '96, I think.
The Wildcats.
96,
Yeah.
and then of course, the St. George for the wrestling title. And you've managed to, in spite of having a half a day of academics and a half a day of their shops or their career paths, still had successful athletics in the Votech School District, giving them the completeness of what you'd want in a high school experience.
Right. You want the well-rounded experience, yeah. Well, the one thing that we don't have that makes me sad at times, but we can't fit it in, are the arts, more of the arts, where we really can't do the band. We can't do any choral. It's the time frame, which is hard to fit in. And a lot of times when they've tried to start something after school, the kids are in so many different activities. So that part makes me a little sad because the arts are great, if we could emphasize that. But at least they're getting the extracurricular and the sports, and they're getting that activity beyond the school day. Just
do they have to start and be a part of an extracurricular activity? Is that
it's not required.
Not required.
No.
So what percentage of your kids are not into an extracurricular activity?
That's hard to gauge. Again, it's something we've never really calculated,
I can understand
and it might
the
be
seniors that
interesting
are
to do.
on OJT.
Yeah.
I can understand that, but
Yeah.
like sophomores down.
I don't know, and that might be interesting to ask
pretty
our
good.
athletic directors to give us a little sense of what percentage are.
St. George, I can tell you that we're filling, most of our teams with pretty solid performers. So in order to compete, and they compete in every sport, both guys and girls.
That's across the board.
I think it's across.
That's across all 4
I've
schools.
seen it at Hudson. I've seen it at Del Castle.
Women to men.
What now? I'm sorry.
What's the break, women to men?
Break in what
How many
sense?
your student body ratio?
Oh, it varies. Interestingly enough, school by school.
It does. So where would you have the
It varies.
most female?
District-wide, we're 50-50, believe it or not.
Really?
Yes.
Well, that's amazing.
District-wide, we're 50-50.
Do you
and
have to be
that's like-
50-50?
No. It just, that's how
Gender is
random.
not- it's very-
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
what
yes.
schools would have the most female participants? Would it be the culinary field?
Right
Not
now,
only be a sexist,
well,
but-
school-wide, right now, Howard has the largest percent of female over male.
I think Hodson has
More
the-
males
more
than
males
females. Delcastle is almost 50-50. And St. George's has a tip over on the female versus
Now, do
male.
you
I would think that
strive
in
for the
allied health, I mean, with the
The
athletic
allied-
training,
yes.
you would
the
see more
programs
females
that are in the
usually.
buildings sometimes
Drive that.
Now, now, we certainly, all of our programs are open to both men and women, as you know.
Right.
But there are programs that tend to draw stereotypically one gender over the other. And so what, you know, in some of the schools that might have more of the programs that draw the male students
Like
or
your
more
auto
of the
body
females. But in the
Early childhood development.
Yes, but in the wisdom of creating the school programs and where they're located, that's often taken into consideration because having a well-blended school environment for students is what they're looking for. And so placement of programs is something that we look at so that we are able to offer programs that draw both students. And then, of course, there are programs that both men and women go into.
Exactly.
So.
Well, that's a question, though. When you have 1,900 applicants and you're going to take 1,300, is that one of your criteria?
No, it is not.
No, it is not.
You're taking the best of
We're
whoever's there.
taking, right, we do not
do you
look
have
You
at
any
still
limit-
got 50-50.
district-wide, yeah, isn't that
That's cool.
unusual? Yeah, yeah.
Do you have any
Again,
limit-
it's because of the
actually.
programs that the students are drawn to.
Any limitations on a particular school? In other words, if you have a bunch of young people in a middle school, that you would not like to have too many from the same school?
No, we never look at schools, though.
So it's an individual thing.
We never look at what school they're
And the
from.
students are picking where they want to go.
Yes,
I mean,
they
they're
are.
applying
Right.
to places for specific
Yes, they are. It's
career paths.
student-driven. The admissions process is all
Student-driven.
That's a
student-centered.
good question. Can a student apply to 2 Votech schools?
Actually, on our application, we have one application for all 4 schools. And on the application, all 4 schools are named.
1, 2, 3.
And we ask the student to put down their school of preference, first, second, third, and fourth choice.
Excellent.
And as well as the career programs that they're interested in.
Right.
So
One-
they only apply once, and
But
then
all
we know
4.
what their preferences
One
are.
of the things I don't understand is,
great.
like, at 2 of the schools, I believe it is, when the freshman comes in, he goes through all or a majority of the programs, the
Right.
vocations.
Right.
And in the other 2 schools, they have 3 or that they
They
pick.
choose 3?
I think this, the great thing is that they go through the quickie, boom, boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom.
it depends on, again, the structure of the schedule of each building, and we've left them to be a little independent as long as the students are getting exposed to the programs they want to see. And if they all of a sudden say, you know, I really want to go see this program because I missed it, schools are very flexible.
Really?
And they'll make sure the student goes in to see that particular program and spend a little time. They do not prevent any student from exploring a program that all of a sudden they might have an interest in.
I think the well-roundedness that you pointed out with the sports, the trade, having the career path, the academics, I think that's the one thing that draws me to really wanting to be involved with the Votech school system. I think that in general is it, because nowadays people going into medical school, people going into law school, they want more well-rounded people. They don't want someone who's just into sciences or just into a specific thing. They want someone who's been kind of open to everything and has some other kind of traits and been into talking with people and socializing. They want that now. So I think that's why the school system really attracts me to be involved as much.
Well, and we have an example. Remember our sheet metal winner, our young lady?
Oh, yes. National
Well,
winner.
we had
Lady
a
in sheet metal.
female
National. First place.
First place for Skills USA. Twice she won the national. And I love the story. You have to tell the story about when she was in. And there are all the young, she goes to national, and there are all these young men there, and they say to her,
You're in the wrong place. The cosmetology competition or whatever you're here for is over there.
It's young sexist.
And she said, "Oh no, I'm here for sheet metal." And then she turned around and beat them all.
I love
and
it.
was the national winner. Hundreds and
Now,
hundreds.
what did she go on?
But interestingly enough, that's not the field she's going in. I think she's going into, more of the engineering area. But look at the skill sets that she has in the sense of she could she could be hired by anyone based on her skill sets.
That's cool.
And be able to support herself while she goes to school.
Hey,
I mean,
she'll
it's
be
a
able to take
beautiful
care of her
example.
home. She'll be able to take care of things that I cannot do. I mean, I admit it. I call somebody when the plumbing's.
I call somebody to put a plug in.
So
when I see young ladies in welding, when I walk around, or in sheet metal, or in the non-traditional, I say to them, really,
can you dance?
You need to think about this because there's an aging workforce out there. You're going to have great opportunities. You really need to think about this as a field.
When you say sheet metal and women melder, I think of flash dance. I think of Pittsburgh. That's why I said, can you dance?
The only trouble with the aging workforce is everybody, because of the economy, are going back to work as old.
They are, but there's still a lot of folks who will be retiring.
Well, believe it or not, we're down to our last 30 seconds of the show. Thank you.
That went fast.
Thank you very much
for sharing with us what's happening in the Votech School District here in Newcastle County. And I think that that the whole idea, certainly from Washington on down, reflects the fact that this is a great, that you're not settling when you're in a Votech school. You're actually promoting an opportunity to be able to take care of the infrastructure that we need to take care of. So what did you learn today, Walter?
I learned that they're Democrats. Join us next week on Youth in Sports. Watch our internet, www.youthinsports.com, and there's nothing I can do to change things.
What does opportunity mean to you? At Wilmington University, it means finding your relevance in the job market. That's why we offer career-oriented degree programs that meet employment needs in emerging fields. Dedicated professors bring their real-world experience into the classroom so you'll graduate with the tools you need to succeed on the job. It's your degree. Make it relevant to your career. Personalized education, affordable tuition, that's the difference at Wilmington University.
This show was sponsored by ATI, the company taking physical therapy to a higher level throughout the country. First State Orthopedics, where Youth in Sports hosts Drs. Straight and Axe are members of the team taking care of Delaware with a commitment to excellence. And President Jack Barcelona and his Wilmington University College of Technology, where each semester this student-run program is produced, directed, edited, and distributed under the guidance of the TV production faculty. Each guest receives a copy of the show, and all shows are available on the web at youthinsports.com.